Imagine waking up one day, and gasoline is gone. No petrol at gas stations, no fuel for cars, no trucks delivering goods, no planes in the sky. Everything suddenly stops. It sounds like something from a movie. But what would actually happen if the world ran out of gasoline? Today, we're exploring a future that might not be as far away as you think. First, let's understand what gasoline really is. Gasoline is made from crude oil, a fossil fuel formed millions of years ago from ancient plants and animals. It took millions of years to form, but we're using it up much faster. Gasoline powers a huge part of our world. Cars, motorcycles, trucks, ships, even some generators. So if gasoline suddenly disappeared, the first and most immediate impact would be transportation. Cars would stop. Millions of people rely on cars every day for work, school, and daily life. Without gasoline, commuting would become extremely difficult. Public transport systems that rely on fuel would also be affected. Buses, taxis, and many delivery vehicles would stop working. But the bigger problem is not just personal travel, it's supply chains. Trucks transport food, medicine, and essential goods across cities and countries. Without gasoline, these deliveries would slow down or stop. This means supermarkets could run out of food quickly. Fresh products like fruits, vegetables, and milk would be hardest hit. Now think about emergency services. Ambulances, police vehicles, and fire trucks rely on fuel. Without gasoline, responding to emergencies would become much harder. Air travel would also be affected. Planes don't use gasoline exactly. They use a different fuel called jet fuel, but it also comes from crude oil. So if gasoline disappears due to oil shortages, aviation would also be impacted. This would disrupt global travel and trade. Industries would feel the impact too. Many factories depend on fuel for machinery, transportation, and operations. Production would slow down, leading to shortages of goods. Now here's something even more important. Gasoline is not just used for fuel, it's also part of many everyday products. Plastic, chemicals, synthetic materials. All of these come from petroleum. So a gasoline shortage could affect manufacturing beyond transportation. At this point, the world would face a major crisis. But here's the key question. Would everything just collapse, or would we adapt? The answer is, we would adapt. Because even though gasoline is important, it's not the only source of energy. Now here's the most important part. What happens after the initial chaos? Does the world collapse, or does it adapt? The truth is, the world would begin to change rapidly, because even though gasoline is important, it's not the only way to power our lives. The first major shift would be toward electric vehicles. Cars powered by batteries don't need gasoline at all. They run on electricity. In fact, this transition has already started. Many countries are investing heavily in electric cars, buses, and even trucks. Without gasoline, this shift would speed up dramatically. People would switch to electric vehicles much faster than expected. But cars are just one part of the story. Public transportation would also change. Cities might expand. Electric trains, metro systems, trams. These systems are already efficient and don't rely on gasoline. Next comes renewable energy. Electric vehicles need electricity. So where will that electricity come from? The answer is renewable sources like solar power, wind energy, hydropower. These sources don't rely on fossil fuels, and they can generate energy continuously. Governments and companies would invest more in these technologies. Over time, energy systems would become cleaner and more sustainable. Now let's talk about industries. Factories that once depended on fuel would shift to electric machinery, alternative fuels, automation. Shipping and aviation would also adapt. For ships, alternatives like electric propulsion and hydrogen fuel are already being developed. For airplanes, scientists are exploring sustainable aviation fuels, hydrogen-powered planes, electric aircraft. These technologies are still developing, but a gasoline shortage would push them forward faster. Another big change would be in lifestyle. People might travel less by personal vehicles. Cities could become more walkable. Cycling and public transport would increase. Work patterns might change too. Remote work could become even more common. But the transition wouldn't be easy. In the short term, there would be higher costs. Higher costs, supply shortages, economic disruptions. Some regions would struggle more than others, especially those heavily dependent on fuel. But over time, new systems would replace old ones. In fact, this transition could have a positive side. Less gasoline use means less air pollution. Less air pollution, lower carbon emissions, cleaner cities. So while the change would be challenging, it could also lead to a more sustainable future. So what happens when the world runs out of gasoline? At first, there's disruption. Transportation slows down. Supply chains struggle. Daily life becomes difficult. But then comes adaptation. New technologies take over. energy systems evolve, and the world moves toward cleaner alternatives. The end of gasoline wouldn't be the end of the world. It would be the beginning of a new one. Common thing, surprising history. Common thing, surprising history, and now you know what would really happen if gasoline ran out.